So the title of this is Why You Shouldn't Buy a New Camera. Now, I am currently shooting on an A6400. Awesome camera. I also have an A7 III. Also an awesome camera. Now, I bought these, and they are relatively new cameras to me. Like the A7 III I've had for a year and a half, but, I'm not planning on buying another camera anytime soon. These are fantastic cameras. Should you buy them? It's really up to you. But do I recommend them? Absolutely. Actually, right now, if you're on a budget, I'd say go A6600, which is midway between the A6400 and the A7 III. And it's not too expensive right now. You can actually get, I want to say it's like $1,100. So not much more than the A6400. Anyway, so why am I telling you, I highly recommend these cameras and you should buy them? At the same time, I'm also saying why you shouldn't buy a new camera. It's not so much that you shouldn't buy a new camera. It's that you might not be thinking about other things that are involved in buying a new camera. It's not like it was back in the day. The technology has advanced so much that when you buy a new camera, it takes a lot more to, say, operate them outside of the camera itself. So for instance, A7 III, I want to say it's a 24 megapixel file size, something like that. Now I shoot RAW. If you're a real photographer, you should be shooting RAW. Sorry, I'm real, whatever. You should be shooting RAW. So the first thing to consider is that how big is your drive space, whether you're using a solid state or a hard drive. You're gonna need a lot more file size. Like I regularly delete when I'm done with my workflow and I'm exporting my catalog out and deleting the original catalog and the original files. I'm deleting gigs of data, and that can just be from one shoot. You need a pretty, if you only have, say, a laptop with 128 gigabytes of space, which a lot of people do if they were buying a computer on the cheap, you might only have 128 gigs of space. And if you don't have an expandable hard drive, you got a problem. There's also how much RAM do you have? Again, if you bought a cheap computer, you might only have 4 gigs of RAM. These things are processor heavy, and you definitely need at least 8 gigs. I was shooting, I had 2 computers at the time. I have the one that I have now, which I'll get to in a second, and I had a MacBook Air. That MacBook Air had a pretty rinky-dink processing chip. I don't believe it had any sort of graphics card, and it was only rocking 4 gigabytes of RAM. Not great for running Adobe CC, which I had to purchase at the time. That's another thing. When I started, when I first built the computer that I have now, I didn't build it. I picked out the parts. I brought it to a friend. I said, "Are these good?" He said, "You're shooting with a Nikon D7100. This is what you're doing. Yeah, this is fine. This is absolutely fine for what you need." At the time, the Nikon D7100, I really didn't shoot video at the time, at least not on that camera, and it only shot in 1080p anyway. So yeah, it was fine. Guess what? Again, these new cameras are another thing entirely. So, the graphics card that I put in my desktop, 2 gigabytes of RAM in it. Not enough. Processing chip. I use an i5. I don't remember what the numbers are, the gigahertz and all that. Is somewhat usable, but not really. The RAM. Now, again, the MacBook Air, I had 4 gigabytes. In the desktop, I had 8. And 8's functional. It's fine for the photos. Video, In any case, so I just updated two parts of my computer. I updated my RAM, which I added 16 gigabytes, and now I'm operating at 24. And I had to buy a new graphics card for editing video, which this is actually the first video that I'm going to edit on it. And that had 8 gigabytes on the new graphics card that I put in. But that cost me a few hundred. And guess what? I'm not done. I actually need to build an entirely new computer to have it functional to the level that I want. That's going to cost me a lot of money. Not, well, actually, I know how to do it. It's a lot of money for me. It's going to be like $600 to $800. But hey, it's an extra expense. I mean, when you buy a new camera for, like, you know, let's say you have it just in your budget to buy an A6400, you spend the $900, $800, whatever it is now, might have gone down a little bit. Awesome. And you know, let's say you have a little bit left over, so you spend $50 and you get oh, here it is. You get a f1.8 50 millimeter. Awesome. So you think you're good to go. Well, maybe you're not. Maybe you need new computer parts. Maybe you're not somebody who can build a computer yourself. It's just not in your wheelhouse. Not that it's mine. I'm actually learning how to do that, so I'm not bragging here. So maybe you're like, oh, now I need to buy a new computer. Well, you can't buy a $200 computer. Not for what you need. You're going to have to spend closer to $800 to $1,000. Might not be in your budget. There's a lot that goes into it. Oh, did I finish with Lightroom? I can't remember if I talked about this or not. Apologize if I go over it again. Anyway, so at the time I was using Lightroom, I want to say it was 5.0. Totally fine at the time. However, these files are not supported on old copies of Lightroom. Adobe doesn't like you using old, you know, the downloadable files. They want you using the subscription files that only work as long as you're paying for it. So, when I went out and I shot with my A7 III, and I got home and I was all excited, and it wouldn't accept my RAW files. So I had to go and download Adobe CC. Now they do have a photographer's program. So it was, at the time, 10. It might be like 12 now, which is annoying because there was no reason for them to raise the price. But, you know, I actually kind of, I mean, I do love the Adobe software. It's really good. And, you know, but that's an extra, you know, minimum $120 a year. North of that if the price did go up. In any case, there's a lot that goes into buying a new camera. So before you do, just ask yourself, do I need it? And you might. That D7100, I have shots that they're not bad, but that camera, even when I got better glass, just wasn't good in low light. These cameras are awesome in low light. I mean, some of the photos that I've taken with, you know, I'm using a Rotolite Neo 2 right now. But sometimes you just don't have a light available for whatever reason. And, you know, like the ISO capabilities on these cameras are insane. Like, you know, just you can't believe, like, if I had shot the same photo with my D7100 at the time, the shot would have just been useless. So in any case, yeah. Whether it's Sony, Nikon, or Canon, if you're looking at upgrading, particularly to mirrorless, are they worth it? Yeah. I mean, I haven't shot with any of the Canon EOS Rs, and certainly not any of the Nikon Zs, but as near as I can tell, from watching reviews, they seem pretty worth it. But always remember, there might be an extra step in it. So, in any case, that's all I got to say. If you have any questions or if you have any thoughts, maybe you know more about computers than me and I said something stupid in there. Sorry, still learning. So thank you for watching, and you know, I post this channel occasionally. If you want, you can like and subscribe. I'm going to leave a link if you'd like to support me in any way. You know, these are hard times. If you don't want to, you don't want to. But I have an art and landscape photography pixel set page, pixie set, not pixel set. You can go look through the stuff. If you like it, purchase something. That would be awesome. They'll send it out to you. Also, the channel that I update to regularly, if you're into pop culture stuff, it's a lot of art and comic books, but I'm trying to do more. There's some movie stuff. There's some comedy stuff in there. Lightning Culture. Go check out my other channel, Lightning Culture, which I update to a lot more. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I don't know, keep shooting. I don't have a sign up. I'm bad with that. Anyway, bye.